Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Talk English World. I'm Sarah, and I'm excited about today's topic.
And I'm Mike. Today we're talking about something that frustrates a lot of English learners, understanding native speakers.
This is such an important topic because many learners can understand their English teacher perfectly, but then they listen to real native speakers and feel completely lost.
It's a very common experience, and there are real reasons why native speakers sound so different.
First reason, native speakers use connected speech. Words blend together and connect in ways that textbooks don't teach.
For example, did you becomes didya. What are you becomes whatcha. I don't know becomes I don't know.
And when you're not expecting these changes, they sound completely different. You might not even recognize the words.
Second reason, native speakers use contractions naturally. They say I'm, your, he's, didn't, won't, can't all the time.
But they don't say the full forms like I am or you are in casual conversation. That sounds unnatural and formal.
Third reason, native speakers use idioms and phrasal verbs constantly. These are expressions that don't translate literally.
For example, give up means stop trying. Run into someone means meet by accident. Put up with means tolerate. If you don't know these expressions, you'll try to translate them word by word and get completely confused.
Fourth reason, native speakers speak with natural stress and intonation. They don't stress every word equally.
They stress the most important words and speak quickly through the less important words. This creates a rhythm that can be hard to follow.
And fifth reason, native speakers use filler words and discourse markers. Words like like, you know, basically, actually.
These words don't carry meaning, but native speakers use them all the time. They can make speech sound messy and hard to follow.
Let me give you a real example. I'm going to say a sentence as a textbook would teach it, and then as a native speaker would actually say it. Textbook version. I did not know what you were talking about. Native speaker version. I didn't know what you were talking about, you know.
Did you hear the differences? The native speaker version has several changes.
First, did not becomes didn't. Second, talking sounds like talking. The G is dropped. Third, you becomes ya. Fourth, you know is added at the end as a discourse marker.
And if you listened too fast, you might have missed that the sentence even had a question form in it.
This is why understanding native speakers is challenging. There are many simultaneous changes happening.
But here's the good news. Once you understand these patterns, everything becomes clearer.
Let's talk about specific patterns of native speaker speech. Understanding these patterns will help you predict what you're about to hear. First pattern, contraction and reduction. Native speakers don't just use contractions with is and are. They reduce many words.
For example, going to becomes gonna, want to becomes wanna, have to becomes have-to, and got to becomes gotta.
These are so common that you should learn them and practice them. When you know these patterns, you'll recognize them instantly.
Second pattern, dropping sounds. Native speakers often drop the H at the beginning of words when they're not stressed.
So, him sounds like im. Her sounds like His sounds like is. Have sounds like av.
For example, a native speaker might say, "Did you tell him about it?" instead of, "Did you tell him about it?"
Third pattern, combining words. Words literally blend together and sound like one word.
For example, "What'd you want?" sounds like, "What do you want?" "Did you go?" sounds like, "Did you go?"
Fourth pattern, rising intonation at the end of statements. Sometimes native speakers end statements with a rising tone, like a question.
This is especially common among younger native speakers. It can confuse learners because it sounds like a question when it's actually a statement.
Fifth pattern, using like as a filler word. This is very common among young native speakers.
They might say, "I went to the store, and there was nobody there, so I left immediately." The word like here doesn't mean anything. It's just a filler. But if you don't understand that, you'll get confused trying to find meaning in it.
Now, let's talk about idioms and phrasal verbs, which are super important for understanding native speakers.
Native speakers use phrasal verbs constantly. These are combinations of a verb and a preposition that create a new meaning. Let's talk about some specific challenges and solutions. Challenge 1. Understanding people who speak very fast. Solution: watch the same video multiple times. Each time, you'll catch more.
Challenge 2, understanding regional accent. There's a Southern accent, a New York accent, a Boston accent, a California accent. They all sound different.
Solution: expose yourself to different accents. The more variety you listen to, the easier it becomes to adapt to new speakers.
Challenge 3, understanding slang and very informal language. Solution: if something sounds strange, write it down and ask a native speaker what it means.
Challenge 4, understanding conversations with background noise. This happens in real life all the time.
Solution: practice listening in less than ideal conditions. Don't always listen in a quiet room. Challenge yourself.
Challenge 5, understanding when to use these patterns yourself. It's one thing to understand native speakers, it's another to speak like them.
Solution: use what you learn. Don't wait until you're perfect. Start using contractions, phrasal verbs, and natural speech patterns now.
Here's an important mindset shift. Don't think of native speaker speech as incorrect English. It's not wrong or lazy.
It's just how English naturally sounds when people are relaxed and talking to friends and family. It's authentic English.
Textbook English is useful for learning grammar rules, but real English is what native speakers actually use.
Both are valid, but if you want to truly understand native speakers and sound natural yourself, you need to learn real English.
The good news is that real English follows patterns. Once you understand the patterns, it becomes much easier.
And you don't need to wait until you're advanced to start listening to native speakers. Start now, even if you don't understand everything.
Your brain is amazing. It will absorb the patterns even if you don't consciously understand every word.
Let me give you some vocabulary about speech patterns that might be useful.
Connected speech, when words blend together. Contraction, when two words become one, like don't. Intonation, the rise and fall of your voice. Stress, which syllable or word you emphasize. Discourse marker, words like, that are used for thinking time.
Phrasal verb, a verb plus a preposition with a special meaning. Idiom, an expression that doesn't translate literally. Native speaker, someone who grew up speaking a language as their first language.
Accent, the way someone pronounces words based on where they're from. Fluency, speaking smoothly and naturally without stopping to think.
Before we finish, let me tell you something important. Understanding native speakers is not about achieving perfection.
It's about being comfortable with the reality of English. Real English is messy. Real English is fast. Real English is full of contractions and informal expressions.
And that's beautiful. That's what makes English a living language. It changes and evolves.
Your goal should be understand native speakers well enough to have real conversations and understand real media.
And that's absolutely achievable. Thousands of non-native speakers do this every single day.
You can too. It just takes consistent practice and exposure to real English. Thank you so much for learning with us on Talk English World episode 182. I'm Sarah, and I really enjoyed this conversation.
And I'm Mike. Understanding native speakers is a game changer for your English learning journey.
If you found this episode helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Talk English World.
Share this episode with other English learners. Help them understand native speakers too.
Tell us in the comments, what's the hardest thing about understanding native speakers for you?
We read every comment, and we might give you personalized advice in future episodes.
Keep listening to native speakers. Keep practicing. Keep pushing yourself. You're doing amazing work.
Thank you for being part of the Talk English World family. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye. See you in the next episode.